Hey everyone, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to wait just a few more seconds as people are signing on. Okay, well, hi everyone, and welcome to this month's leadership webinar. I'm Dan Foster, the Chief Operating Officer and an executive coach here at Building Champions. And I'm really glad that you're here today. Thanks for carving out a few minutes to invest in yourself and your leadership. This session is called Your 2026 Leadership Reset, building the rhythm, routines, and alignment you need for a breakthrough year. And as we begin, I want to remind you of something that we believe deeply here at Building Champions. Better humans make better leaders. That belief shapes everything we do, from the way we coach our clients one-on-one to how we work with teams and workshops and retreats, and how we help organizations create thriving cultures where there's a focus on both people and results. So, whether you're leading a growing team or navigating complexity in your organization or just simply looking to grow your leadership this year, this reset is for you. Okay, before we jump in to tactics, let's talk about why this kind of reset is even necessary, especially for leaders like you. Here's the truth. Leadership moves fast. We get pulled in many different directions. And when you're constantly moving, it's easy to confuse being busy with being effective. A leadership reset is your opportunity to just kind of slow down and reflect and get realigned. It's to ask questions like, well, what worked last year and what didn't? And what would I want to change this next year? And what do I want to be true when I get to the end of 2026? This moment gives you space to reconnect with your goals and your purpose. It allows you to lead with more clarity, more intention, and just more impact in the year ahead. At Building Champions, we coach leaders to focus on three interconnected areas because great leadership isn't just about what you do. It's about how you think, how you show up, and how you bring others with you. Here's how we break that down. We have three interconnected areas: self leadership, team effectiveness, and organizational impact. And all these areas, they build on one another. Self leadership is the foundation. It fuels how you lead your team and both shape the impact how you have on your organization. So let's begin where all strong leadership begins, which is with yourself. Whenever I do a leadership reset, this is the first place that I start because how you lead yourself really sets the tone for everything else. So let me ask you a few questions to guide your reflection. Who are you becoming this year as a person and as a leader? And what do you need to learn or grow in? What does personal success look like for you by the end of 2026? It's easy to focus on everyone else as leaders, but the best leaders start by looking inward to get clear on how they want to grow and how they want to show up. Okay, let's talk about routines then that support our self leadership. Routines are more than habits, they're anchors. They keep you grounded when life gets noisy and busy. They create a structure that helps you lead with intention rather than reaction. So, let me walk you through three simple but powerful routines that can transform your self leadership. First, your morning routine. This is just, guys, we all know this. How you start your day, it matters. Those first 30 minutes are so important to shape your mindset, your energy, and how others are going to experience you. So, what can you do in that first 30 minutes? Well, try journaling for a little bit to clarify what are your priorities. Maybe it's for you, it's activity, moving your body with a walk or a quick workout, or simply just avoid your phone and start with something inspiring. We often like to say at Building Champions that if you put garbage in, then garbage is going to come out in that first 30 minutes. So, begin your day with clarity, and the rest of your day will follow suit. So let's talk now about how you end your day, because your end of day routine is just as important. Closing out your day really helps you to rest, reset, and prepare for tomorrow. You might review your wins and lessons from the day, set your top 3 priorities for the next morning, or even create a shutdown ritual that will allow you to disconnect from work and be present at home. And here's the third one, your personal development routine. Growth doesn't happen by default, it happens by design. It happens when you carve out time to learn, reflect, and really stretch yourself. You might listen to a leadership podcast once a week. Maybe it's read 10 pages a day in a book, or schedule a monthly check in with a mentor or a trusted peer. We also recommend a weekly personal planning time, short, focused window to just align your calendar and make sure that your time reflects your priorities. Here's the key takeaway. Consistent routines will always beat occasional heroic acts in your leadership. Okay, so let's pause here and reflect for just a moment. Where do you feel most out of routine right now? What area would benefit from a new routine or a new discipline for you? Take a moment and jot it down, or just make a mental note to come back to these questions, because this is where the reset really starts to take shape. Okay, when we lead ourselves well, we naturally show up better for those that we lead. Self leadership builds the steadiness, the clarity, and the presence that your team relies on. So now let's turn our attention to that second area of your leadership, your team effectiveness. Leading a team is one of the most meaningful and challenging parts of leadership. And just like with self leadership, healthy, high performing teams, they don't just happen by accident. They're built with intention through clear routine, strong trust, and shared focus. So let's start by considering a few powerful questions. What does success look like for your team this year? And how do you want your team to feel when they're working together and collaborating and creating together and serving your customers? And what do you hope to accomplish this year together? And what do you want your team to be known for in the year ahead? When leaders are intentional about these things, teams don't just perform better, they feel better too, and there's better health for them. Now let's talk through 3 leadership routines that I think really help teams thrive. The first is obvious, I think, right? Team meetings. We all have them, but your meetings really set the tone for your culture. Done well, they build momentum and clarity. Done poorly, they waste time and they drain everyone's energy. So, what can you do? Well, use a structured agenda with space for wins and for setting clear priorities, making sure you really outline what are the key next steps out of this meeting. Rotate facilitators to build ownership and end with a quick pulse check in to see how everyone's doing and get some feedback in that moment. Now, another one is one on ones. And this is where real trust gets built between a leader and their direct reports. These consistent personal check ins are where your people feel seen, heard, and developed. So make sure that you're meeting with them at least monthly, and we recommend bi weekly. Keep a shared document with ongoing topics and action items that you're working on with your direct reports. And always start by checking in on how they're doing, both personally and professionally. Third, there's a great opportunity for you in scheduling team development and offsites. Every high performing team needs time to pause, reflect, and reset. So, what can you do? Well, have these quarterly reset days where you're looking at back at the business over the last 90 days. You're seeing what you need to keep doing, start doing, stop doing, and maybe improve doing. Celebrate progress and just re-clarify the direction that you're headed in. What is your vision for the year and your strategy? And how are the tactics aligning with those two things to drive the business forward? And open up space to talk about just how people are working together, not just what you're working on. These routines don't just keep your team organized, they really strengthen culture, connection, and performance. All right, so let's pause again. Where is your team effectiveness feeling strained or inconsistent right now? What's one routine that could help your team connect better and perform more consistently and just grow with greater intention. Now, here's what happens next. When your team is aligned and healthy, your leadership starts to expand beyond your immediate circle. And that brings us to the third and final part of your leadership reset, which is organizational impact. We know that leadership isn't just about managing people, it's about how you contribute to the mission, strategy, and culture of your organization. This is all about your influence and how you use it to move the organization forward and contribute to it. So, let me ask you a few questions to guide your thinking. How does your personal growth align with where your organization is going? How is your team contributing to the broader strategic goals of the organization? And where are you uniquely pouring into the culture beyond just your direct responsibilities? Okay, reflect on those, take mental note of those, spend some time thinking about them. And now let's look at some specific routines that can help you with your organizational impact. And that really what we're looking for here is to increase your organizational impact. Regardless of the level that you serve within the organization, you have an impact. It really starts with your personal growth and making sure that it's aligned with the organization's strategy. When you're learning supports your organization's future, your value just starts to multiply. So, what can you do? Well, grow your change leadership skills. Most companies right now are going through some sort of change, and they're needing leaders that can be extremely adaptable within that change. So, grow your skills in that area. Maybe take ownership of cross functional initiative, volunteer to lead a project that involves a lot of different departments. Or third, just learn about your organization's finances, their systems, their strategic goals, the entire ecosystem of the organization. That way, you can understand what's needed most from you. Secondly, make sure that your team goals are aligned with vision. And this is where you can connect the teamwork that you're doing with what matters most in the organization. So tie each team objective to a broader organizational strategic priority. Share the vision consistently with your team. Make sure that they understand how their work directly ties to the organization and the direction that it's headed, its vision and overall strategy. And third thing, bring in other senior leaders to help clarify direction and build excitement around the work that your team is doing. And third, look for ways for you to be a culture contributor. Culture is built by leaders who show up with intention. So you might mentor someone outside of your team. Maybe you try to regularly just model gratitude and recognition in meetings, or start a simple habit like weekly shout outs or learning huddles that build connection across different silos. These types of routine help your leadership scale beyond your role, beyond your team, and into the broader impact of your organization. Okay, so let's pause again. Where are you being called to lead beyond your immediate role? What's one simple way you can make a greater impact in your organization this year? Again, take a moment to reflect on those and consider just what's one small step that you could take this week. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to make sure that I just say something very clearly here. Don't skip the self leadership piece. After 30 years of working with leaders and organizations around the globe, we have found that self leadership is essential. And it's easy to jump right into strategy and the team and the organizational culture and initiatives. But if you're not grounded clearly in your self leadership, if you're not healthy in all areas of your life, then your work is going to suffer. Because when you lead yourself well, you lead everything else around you better. That's why this reset starts with you. Your self leadership precedes your team effectiveness, and it determines your organizational impact. Okay, so let's bring it all together with three simple next steps. One, carve out time to reflect. Don't just think about it, put it on your calendar. Two, create your 2026 plan. What are your goals? What are your routines? What are your disciplines that are going to move you forward? And third, share that plan with someone that you trust, a peer, a mentor, someone on your team, maybe that can encourage you or challenge you. And if you'd like a coach to walk you through your plan, we would love to help. And so we want to offer a complimentary coaching session for you. We've been coaching leaders at all levels for nearly 30 years. We'd be honored to support you as you're thinking about your 2026 year. Well, thanks again for being here. Whether you're an emerging leader or a seasoned executive, you have an opportunity to make 2026 a defining year, not just for your work, but for your growth, your impact, and your influence. Like I said at the beginning, at Building Champions, we believe better humans make better leaders. Our coaching helps leaders grow, teams thrive, and organizations win. So if today's message resonated with you, let's talk. And if you know someone who would benefit from this reset or this webinar that we shared today, share it with them. A small nudge could really spark a really big shift for them. Thanks again. Here's to a great year. We'll see you next month.